Good. Okay. We are on. Hi again, and I hope you are enjoying your day. Today was a lot of people talked to me. I said, "What do you think about the court case in the Supreme Court of New South Wales against the mandatory vaccination?" And I will be very short because it's very straightforward. The court case for me is going very good in the right direction. And today the solicitors challenging the government's mandatory vaccination were very well prepared, and they showed to everyone, in New South Wales and in Australia, that there was no need for mandatory vaccinations, and they emphasized on two issues. The first issue is that the vaccine is still experimental, under provisional registration, because there is no enough data about its safety and its efficacy, especially the data about long-term effect. I will speak in Arabic at the end for the people who waited for Arabic. اللي بيستنوا اللغة العربية 10 دقائق بس، وبعدها بحكي كلمتين باللغة العربية عن المحكمة اللي صارت اليوم في المحكمة العليا بولاية نيو ساوث ويلز. استنوا يعني بعد ما خلص الإنجليزي أترجمها باللغة العربية. So the solicitors challenged the government's emergency mandating or using emergency argument to mandate the vaccines. And the solicitors were very well prepared. They were very well prepared to the point that one second. I hope you're still hearing me. They were very well prepared to show that the vaccine has insignificant effect in stopping the spread of the disease, because this is the argument that the government used to enforce the mandatory vaccination. We all know that the government knows now. At the beginning, what they used to tell us, that the vaccine will stop the deaths, the vaccine will stop you getting the virus. Now the government, after a lot of people got the vaccination, now the government and a lot of people who are in hospitals are vaccinated. Now the government admitted that the vaccine does not stop the spread of the virus, does not stop somebody catching the virus. So the argument then shifted into the virus will make the symptoms milder and will save you from death. But this argument is not good enough to enforce the mandating of the vaccine, because people should be free to choose to get the virus and to die from the virus. So the government started spreading the lies that the vaccine will reduce the transmission of the virus. So if you take the virus, if you take the vaccine, the possibility that you transmit the virus to others will be reduced. The solicitors today, they dismissed, or they tried very hard to dismiss, and I think they were very successful in dismissing this myth, this lie, that if you take the vaccine, you will not transmit the virus to others. And the solicitors were very, very equipped and well prepared to show both Christine McCartney and Marianne Gale. Both are on the COVID response team for New South Wales for New South Wales government, and both were confronted with 22 studies from around the world, from USA, from England, from Vietnam, from Israel, from everywhere, that the vaccines does not stop the spread of the disease. And every time they put this to both Christine McCartney and Marianne Gale, they were both in this trying to dismiss this on no basis. Christine McCartney, who was a professor in immunology, and what her defense was simple. Yes, there are many studies here saying this, but there are many studies saying the opposite. And most of the studies she used as to prove that the vaccines reduce the transmission were outdated. And the solicitors against the government were very clever and well prepared to confront both officials that Delta variant is different than the other variants, Wuhan variant and others. And the recent studies which were conducted in different countries during from July to September were all indicating that the vaccine is useless in facing Delta variant. So any argument from the government that mandating the vaccine would stop the spread of the virus is wrong and deceitful, because all these studies, and some of these studies done in hospitals in USA and in Israel, in Vietnam, in hospitals and among health workers who were vaccinated, but then most the vaccinated health workers were infected with the virus more than the unvaccinated. So, which means that at some stage the solicitors were or confronted Christine McCartney by quoting from many studies that the vaccinated people are the source of, at some studies, the vaccinated are the source of the spread of the disease. And this is consistent with many respected professionals that vaccination with the mRNA and DNA vaccines in fact spread the virus by the continuous shedding of the spike protein, which causes the disease. It was very clever, and I think it was very convincing. The judge was good with everyone, and I think it is so far. It's very good, and if they continue on like this, they will dismiss the needs for the legislation to mandate vaccines, and the government could lose its grounds on this issue. There are, of course, there are many. The issue here, very big issue. It's very big issue, and the mandating is also. I did not. They did not use the constitutional right until now. They might use it later on. The solicitors, I'm not sure, but there are constitutional rights of bodily integrity of citizens to refuse to take the vaccine. This is second thing. The third things that they need to talk about is that the virus is not as deadly as they told us, and this is very clear now. Within 16 or 18 months of the spread of the virus in Australia, the death rate because of this virus is maybe half of the death rate because of the flu before the appearance of this hoax pandemic. The other things also they could use is that we are this is the main issues that I think they will the solicitors will use to dismantle the mandatory vaccination policy which the governments, the state and federal, are adopted since June of this year. And the solicitors are doing great work. They are well prepared and they have enough. It seems that they have enough resources and support in the community and in the legal profession. And it is very clear that they have their own resources within the medical professions too, to provide them with all these studies from around the world that dismisses the need for to mandate vaccination. And we saw it is very clear that the mandatory vaccination has no basis and has no legs to stand on, because in UK, for example, the minister admitted publicly that 60% of hospitalized people are vaccinated. In Israel, they found that 75% of the people in hospitals were double vaccinated, and this is why they needed the third booster and the fourth booster is now. The same finding in the state of Massachusetts in USA, where 75% of hospitalized in the state were double vaccinated. And now I learned from them that from the solicitors that in Vietnam they found the same results. So it is very clear that a uniformed data from around the world in different countries were indicating that the vaccine has no effect on stopping the spread of the disease or hospitalization. Interestingly, the one of the solicitors indicated to Christine McCartney that in Israel, where the vaccination rate reached more than 88%, they have more hospitalization, more deaths than in the neighboring West Bank, territories where there was no vaccination. I think the vaccination rate in the Palestinian occupied territories 1967 is less than 10%, and the cases and the hospitalization is far less than in the state of Israel. The same in other states, and we can see how it's all politics, because Norway, immediately after Norway, Denmark, and other Scandinavian countries declared that they abandoned all the restrictions, abandoned, and they opened the international borders, and they are now considering the corona as a flu. What's happened is the CDC, which is the leading tool of the conspiracy, of the plan, the New World Order plan. Immediately, the CDC today listed the Norway, Denmark, and other countries that dismantled the coronavirus restrictions as countries of the high of no travel list for Americans, and they advised Americans not to travel to these countries. When in fact, I learned now from my friend in Italy that Italian government today announced that they are dismantling the coronavirus restrictions, and they stopped vaccinating people. They closed all the vaccination hubs, and this is what I was told. I could not verify this. The Italian government allowed ivermectin to be used in the treatment of coronavirus patients, which means that only now it leaves only Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and some parts of USA, the parts that are controlled in states controlled by Democrats only, that still pushing for the corona plan, and this is why they will fail. And I was talking with one of the George Soros assets in Australia today, and he was telling me that what you're talking about, 6 billion people had already taken the jab around the world, and it seems that he doesn't understand or he doesn't check any facts around the world, where even the WHO is saying that the people taking of the jabs are very low in countries like, for example, Lebanon, where the Lebanon, most of African nations, Tanzania, Niger, other countries, the vaccination rate is 1%, maybe 1% only. Some nations like Yemen and others, they don't have any vaccine, zero. The vaccination is zero. The biggest, one of the biggest democracy around the world, India, the vaccination rate is 9%, and the Indian authorities already abandoned the corona plan. They abandoned this, and they are depending now on ivermectin. So this is only leave, and Australia, we understand from the 1st of December, they will abandon the whole project, because it is very clear that the project of the New World Order has failed, and we can now hope that the people who participated in killing people through the mandatory vaccination can be brought to justice through the International Criminal Court under Nuremberg Code, because they enforced masses to take part in an experimental, clinical experimental trials of biological weapon. And hopefully that Gladys Berejiklian will not be only charged by ICAC soon for corruption, but she could be also indicted at some stage to the Hague to face charges under Nuremberg Code. She and Brad Hazard and Kerry Chant. What I was what surprised me today is the fact that the government and its COVID response team, is that the government had chosen very junior educated people, because we understand now that Marianne Gale has only bachelor degree in medicine. She even did not do any postgraduate studies. And we know that Kerry Chant also, she did not have any, she has bachelor degree in medicine and master degree in administration. So she's her master degree is in commerce. It is not in medicine as such, and she never treated any person. And when the solicitors, they are very clever. The solicitors are very clever. I should say they're very clever, because they asked Christine McCartney, who's a professor, and she has PhD and a professor in immunology, how many COVID patients she treated. And I was surprised. I was shocked when she answered that she did not treat any single case, which means that our team of response, our team of to fight this deadly pandemic, are people who has no expertise in medicine, who has no expertise in treating people, who has no expertise working in hospitals. It is very sad to see the government shutting down the whole society, destroying our economy, plunging us into a recession that will continue for decades to come, and a debt that our next generations will find it hard to pay off, and killing hundreds of Australians and injuring tens of thousands of Australians by subjecting them to clinical trials of a drug that proved to be poisonous, because the TGA itself now admitted that there were at least more than 50,000 injuries as a result of the so-called vaccines. This is in fact the numbers. These numbers are 1/10 of the actual numbers, because I know many of people who suffered injuries because immediately after they were enforced or coerced to take the jab, and then the hospitals refused to investigate if these side effects, including heart inflammation and others, were in fact related to the vaccine. So this 50,000 side effects is very unrealistic about the side effects that suffered by the millions of Australians who were enforced to take an experimental jab. Again, we will hear tomorrow from more witnesses, but the work done so far by the solicitors representing the victims of the mandatory vaccination policy, the job they are doing is very extraordinary and very clever. And I would be disappointed if the court did not support their claims and ordered the government to stop the destruction of our society under the mandatory vaccination program, because we know from today tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of people will be stood down, sacked, or enforced to resign because of the mandatory vaccination policy. And this is sham on a democracy like Australia to enforce people to take deadly experimental jabs or to lose their jobs and then destroy their lives through poverty and lack of financial support. بس كلمتين عشان اللي اتصلوا فيي ولاموني وقالوا جمال بنفهمش انجليزي، بنعرفش انجليزي، بس تحكي لنا بالعربي بس كلمتين. اليوم كان في بلشت المحكمة العليا في نيو ساوث ويلز تنظر في القضية اللي رفعها بعض المتضررين من سياسة التطعيم الإجباري. المحكمة أعتقد إنها صارت بطريقة ممتازة جدا. المحامين اللي بيمثلوا الضحايا رائعين بكل ما تحمل الكلمة من معنى، بكل ما تحمل الكلمة من معنى. فضحوا الحكومة، بدأوا بفضح الحكومة بطريقة منظمة جدا جدا وبالوثائق التي لا يرقى لها الشك. يعني لما استجوبوا اثنين من المتخصصين اللي الحكومة بتعتمد عليهم من ضمن لجنة الطوارئ أو لجنة الأزمة لمواجهة الوباء، المحامين دمروهم تدمير حقيقة. من ضمنها اكتشفنا إنه هؤلاء المتخصصين اللي طلبوا من الحكومة إنها تسد البلد وتدمر الاقتصاد وتجبر الناس على أخذ أدوية، هم بالأساس لا يعدو كونهم معهم بكالوريوس بالطب، بس بكالوريوس على مستوى بكالوريوس، وجابوهم وفرضوهم كخبراء في معالجة في مواجهة الأمراض المستعصية. ولما استجوبوهم وقدموا لهم الأدلة، تلو الأدلة إنه أوليش المطاعيم الحالية أصلا لا غير آمنة، لأنه ما صارش في عليها تجارب كافية عشان يوضحوا إنه خلال الأشهر والسنوات القادمة هل هي آمنة ولا لا. ثانيا المطاعيم الحالية اللي بعطوها حتى لو كانت آمنة فهي مطاعيم أصلا أنتجت من أجل مكافحة الفيروس الصيني، مش فيروس دلتا اللي هو بيقولوا بيختلف تماما ونهائيا. وقدموا أكثر من 22 بحث حول العالم إنه المطاعيم الحالية غير فعالة تماما في منع انتقال المرض وفي نقل أو إنه الشخص ينتقل له هذا المرض، وإنه هذه المطاعيم أصلا هي أنتجت من أجل أو بعد أبحاث قصيرة على الفيروس الصيني اللي ظهر بشهر اللي انتشر بالعالم بشهر 3 السنة الماضية. بينما الفيروس الحالي هو فيروس متحور وبأثرش في هذه المطاعيم، وبالتالي تعطوا مطاعيم أصلا هي مش مصنوعة عشان هذا النوع من هذا المتحور بالذات. ثالثا اللي هو المحامين استطاعوا أن يثبتوا أيضا أنه حسب أكثر من 22 بحث حول العالم كلما زادت نسبة المطاعيم بالمجتمع كلما زادت الإصابة. وبالتالي أكثر من بحث حول العالم ومن ضمنها أبحاث أمريكية، أبحاث بريطانية، أبحاث أجريت الكيان الصهيوني الغاصب، وأبحاث أجريت في فيتنام أثبتت على أنه المطعوم هو اللي بنشر المرض. وهذا واضح من زمان وحكوا عنه أكثر من باحث في علم الفيروسات وفي علم المطاعيم، إنه المطاعيم المعتمدة على الMRNA والDNA تنقل المرض وبتزيد من انتشاره في المجتمع. وبالتالي اولا الحكومه اعتمدت عشان تجبر الناس على ياخذوا المطعوم، اعتمدت على شغله واحده، انه بدنا نعطيكم المطعوم عشان نمنع انتشار المرض. اذا هناك اكثر من 22 بحث حول العالم، ومن ضمنها في جامعات بامريكا، جامعات بالكيان الصهيوني، جامعات بفيتنام، جامعات ببريطانيا، جامعات حتى باستراليا، اثبتت على انه المطعوم لا يمنع انه انا يصيبني مرض اذا متطعم، وبعدين المطعوم بيمنعنيش انا اعطيه للناس الثانيين او اعدي فيه الناس الثانيين. اذا شو الفائده منه لهذا المطعوم اذا هو لا يمنع العدوى ولا يمنع الانتقال المرض للشخص؟ بظل في شغله واحده، الحكومه بتقول انه اذا عندك المطعوم وانصبت بالمرض بتموتش. يا سيدي انت ما دخلك فيي، انا بدي اموت، ما لك في الموضوع، يعني ما لك في الموضوع، خليني اموت بالمرض. فالحكومه لما اجبرت الناس، اجبرت العاملين في المستشفيات، اجبرت العاملين في مع كبار السن، العاملين مع اللي معهم ديسابيليتي، اجبرتهم، قالت لهم لازم تاخذوا المطعوم عشان ما تعدوش اللي بتشتغلوا معهم. الان المحامين بذكاء شديد وعندهم خبرات عاليه، اضافه الى انه يبدو عندهم اتصالات بالاطباء والخبراء الطبيين، اثبتوا للمحكمه انه كذب. هاي اللي باخذ الفاكسين ممكن ينصاب وممكن يموت وممكن يعدي الناس الثانيين. وهذا واضح حتى باستراليا المستشفيات تبعتنا ملانه من المرضى اصلا هم مطعمين، وناس ماتوا اصلا هم مطعمين. اذا المطعوم لا يوقف العدوى ولا يحمي الشخص، وبالتالي ليش تجبرني اخذ على مطعوم اصلا هو لا يمنع العدوى على الاخرين؟ اما انا شخصيا صحتي انت ما دخلك فيها، هذا موجود بالدستور اصلا. انا شخصيا الي حق انه ارفض. يعني لنفرض اجى شخص على مستشفى وقالوا له انه والله معك سرطان ولازم تاخذ الكيموثيرابي، هو قال ما بديش، ممنوع يجبره. حسب هذا قانون دولي وقانون موجود بالدستور الاسترالي. الدستور الاسترالي بيقول يمنع بالدستور موجود، يمنع اجبار المواطن على اخذ اي علاج ضد ارادته، حتى لو قاتل انت ما دخلك فيه. انت بتقدر تجبرني اخذ شغله، اخذ دواء اذا كنت انا خطر على المجتمع. انا مش خطر على المجتمع، انا خطر على حالي. اذا خطر على حالي انت ما دخلك فيه، انا بدي اموت، بدي ما لك في الموضوع. وهذا موجود بالدستور الاسترالي وموجود بالقانون الدولي تحت بند نورنبرغ كود. ليش؟ لانه ايام هتلر كان يجبر الناس تاخذ ادويه عشان يجرب عليهم الادويه، عشان يجرب عليهم الاسلحه البيولوجيه. فبعد ما سقط هتلر وانتهى النظام النازي، الحكومات العالم اجتمعت وقالت ممنوع استخدام دواء على ناس الا اذا تطوعوا. وعشان هيك يعني مثلا في دواء جديد بده يطلع وقالوا يا شباب مين بده يتطوع؟ اذا واحد اتطوع وبده يوقع انه انا متطوع ماشي، اما تجبره فانت بتصير تحت بند جرائم بحق البشريه اذا اجبرت الناس على اخذ دواء هو اصلا تحت التجربه ومش باختياره للشخص. وبالتالي معظم الحكومات الغربيه ومنها حكومات استراليا وجلاديس وجماعتها قد، والان في قضيه بمحكمه الجنايات العليا في لاهاي، بنظروا الان بانه اي حكومه اجبرت شعبها على اخذ المطعوم بالقوه يجب ان تحاكم امام محكمه الجنايات الدوليه بتهم اباده جماعيه وجرائم بحق البشريه. وهذا اليوم مش بعيد. يعني لما كان هتلر بالسلطه ما كان يعتقد انه بده يتحاكم وكل نظامه بده يتحاكم والى اخره. وبعض الأنظمة الثانية ما كانتش بتحسب إنه يمكن تتحاكم وإلى آخره، وعمر البشير ومش عارف مين وإلى آخره اللي تحاكموا بجرائم ضد البشرية ما كانوا يعتقدوا إنه يتحاكموا بالمحاكم الدولية. نرجع بس كلمتين ونكمل انه المحكمة تسير حتى الآن بشكل جيد جدا، والمحامين مزودين بكامل يعني بكامل المعلومات والوثائق والإمكانيات، ويبدو انهم راح يهزموا الحكومة، وقد نرى نهاية هذه الحكومة بطريقة بشعة بالنسبة لها، بطريقة بشعة، لأنه احنا بنعرف انه رئيسة الولاية عليها قضايا فساد، يعني سرقة ونصب واحتيال، وقد تواجه هذه القضايا بالإضافة إلى قضايا أنها أجبرت المواطنين على أن يأخذوا مطاعيم لم يتم تجربتها، مش آمنة وبدون سبب، وأجبرتهم على بخلاف منصوص الدستور الأسترالي، أجبرتهم على أخذ علاجات هم بدهمش إياها، وقد تحاكم سواء بأستراليا أو خارج أستراليا على هذا الأساس. حتى لو لم تحاكم، الإجراءات التي قامت بها حكومة الولاية أدت إلى تدمير شامل لحزب الأحرار الحاكم. والآن حزب الأحرار يا جلاديس بريجيكليان شعبيتها الآن أقل من 16%، وهذا لم يحدث لا بالدول الدكتاتورية ولا بالدول الديمقراطية ولا بأي ديمقراطية بالعالم، إنه رئيس وزراء خلال هو قاعد في منصبه شعبيته واصلة 16% بس. وحزبها إذا اليوم صار بقي في انتخابات سيسحق سحقا تاما، فهي بالأساس أدت إلى تدمير حزبها. في الانتخابات القادمة، أي انتخابات قادمة، حزب الأحرار هو سيواجه مصير أسود. وعشان هيك احنا بنقول يا شباب اللي بحزب الأحرار أو نواب حزب الأحرار، أحسن لكم تنطوا من السفينة، غرقت سفينتكم، غرقت، وهي بس أشهر عبين ما توصل قاع المحيط، إضافة إلى المسؤوليات القانونية والأخلاقية التي سوف تتحملونها فيما بعد. اللي ما أخذش المطعوم وخايف من المطعوم ما يأخذوش، حتى لو قالوا له اقعد في بيتكم يقعد في بيتهم، لأنه المحاكم زي ما أنا شايفها وزي ما المتابعين شايفينها تسير في الطريق الصحيح، وستحق الحق، وستبطل القوانين الباطلة اللي اقترفتها أيدي براد هازارد وشو اسمها هاي جلاديس بريجيكليان. يعطيكم العافية، وتابعوا، يمكنكم متابعة المحكمة بكرة. ستستمر المحكمة لعدة أيام قبل الوصول إلى نتيجة وحكم فيها. ويعطيكم العافية ونراكم على خير.